Well, good morning on the West Coast, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon on the East Coast, and happy early evening over in Europe. Thank you very much for joining us for the weekly webinar here at SMB Nation. My name is Harry Brailsford. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm the founder of SMB Nation. I'm joined today by Jennifer Hallmark, our president, as well as our guest, Scott Paul, who we'll introduce in just a moment. A little bit of housekeeping. So most of you would know that we're about a week out, truly a week out from the 13th Annual Fall Conference. Couple of twists. First of all, still time to sign up and use those airline miles and get on out here to Mecca, Microsoft. And a couple of twists would be to go to fall2015.smbnation.com, or you can access it from our events page at smbnation.com. We have announced a virtual streaming capability for Friday, October 2nd. So what I would say, top content, not all content, but top content can be streamed worldwide. We've teamed up with Aaron Booker, well known for his work with Barvid, to stream that out. We've gotten a great reception. There's a modest cover charge to participate in that to help defer expenses. But that's now up and running. So if for whatever reason it didn't make sense to attend live, you can now attend virtually. With that said, next week there's not a webinar because we'll be deep into the pre-day activities. So it's going to be a couple weeks before we see you again. As we turn the corner into fall, it's only getting busier, and the train's only leaving the station faster on 365 and other technologies. With that said, we have Mr. Scott Paul from AppRiver. So let me give you a little context. AppRiver, we've covered them extensively over at our sister site, o365nation.com. Covered them for some time. We track them. They got in early, and the spoils go to the victor. Let me tell you, they've helped define the paradigm of providing the services they do in the context of 365 and other cloud-based technologies. So one to watch, AppRiver. Scott, how you doing? I think you said you're home in sunny Florida. Nice time of year to be down there, sir.
These are the golden weeks in Florida where the weather is just fantastic. Usually, as long as we don't have any hurricanes bearing down on us, which we don't at the moment. So, yeah, it's great to be back on the Gulf Coast, Harry.
Great. Well, sir, we got a good audience. Let's get going. Let's talk about verticalization.
Yes, I have to start off by saying I didn't create the term verticalization, and I'm not a huge fan, but it seems to get the point across. So what we're going to talk about today is the rise of vertically tuned cloud services for SMB. You guys will certainly recognize your customers as we go through this session, and it's my hope that the conversation will stimulate some thinking about differentiated and value-driven solutions for your for the vertical markets that you serve, whether it's healthcare or construction and engineering or public sector, small business, local government, education, legal. The list is, you guys know the list. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to be talking to you from the perspective of a born-in-the-cloud vendor that has emphasized security and reliability from the beginning. So I think while we're not exclusive at AppRiver to a particular vertical, we've certainly been in the market long enough to know that there are small business types that tend to gravitate to our technology and our messaging and our overall branding around security. So I hope that resonates for you guys as well.
Sure.
I'm not going to spend much time here on the agenda page because I pretty much just summarized that, but the idea will be to model some verticalization thinking for you guys, again, to stimulate your own creativity and perhaps to stimulate some conversations between you and us about making those ideas come to life. So AppRiver was established back in 2002. I've been here for about 8 years now. I was employee number 88, I think, and we have about 240 appers today. Almost all of us are here in Gulf Breeze, Florida, in the Florida Panhandle, but we have expanded our footprint a little bit in order to get closer to some of the more recognized technology markets like Austin and Atlanta. As you might imagine, Gulf Breeze, Florida is not riddled through with IT pros looking for work.
Well, sir, and I think you have an office in Australia because I keep checking for a job opening down there. So
not Australia yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, then no wonder why I'm still here.
we have some great partners in Australia, but we don't have an office there yet.
There we go. Okay.
Microsoft did announce that, I guess supposedly by the end of this month, their new Office 365 in-country data center will open up for operations in Australia. So I think that's welcome news for partners in that region that have found it difficult to chart a course around Microsoft's cloud up to this point. So I'm excited for those guys. We came into the Office 365 game as a well-established Exchange hoster. We host about 290,000 seats of Exchange ourselves today. 70% of our new customer acquisition comes from channel partners like you. We have about 2,000 channel partners, and I'm biased certainly, but I think they're the best managed service providers in the business, and we come into work every day trying to figure out ways to help them build their businesses and enjoy what they're doing, and certainly has been a great strategy for us up to this point, and will continue for a long time. So based on that experience, Microsoft tapped AppRiver at the end of 2013 to pilot what's become known as indirect CSP, or two-tier distribution of Office 365. Under the pilot, we were allowed to experiment with our own wholesale rates. We were given business rules from Microsoft that allowed us to extend billing control and customer experience ownership to our partners. And predictably, they responded beautifully, and we had this big sort of hockey stick event where we went from a couple of hundred AppRiver partners doing Office 365 through us under the only model that was allowed at the time, which was the agent or advisor model. And when we opened up the two-tier pilot, that number quickly went to 1,000 and is now over 1,300 partners. And almost 100% of the new partner activity that we've seen around Office 365 has been under the true reseller model that we knew you guys wanted when we started asking Microsoft for it back in 2012. So we have about 150,000 seats of Microsoft Cloud under management today. Just so everybody's clear, the Office 365 customers that we serve and that our partners serve do not contact Microsoft for support. They do not have a direct Microsoft commercial relationship, and our partners own those customers. From a billing perspective, from a partner of record perspective, all of it, the control is in the hands of our partners. We've gathered a few awards along the way. I guess all of us on this call probably have a wall like this or a slide like this, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. I always am a little bit troubled by this slide because it suggests that to me that we want you to know AppRiver and appreciate AppRiver on the basis of the high-profile clients that we serve, when in fact 98% of the customers that we serve are companies you never heard of with less than 100 employees. That's what we got into the hosting business to do. The partners who serve those 50-seat and under customers are the partners that we built our channel program to serve. And it's always nice to pick up a branded client here and there, but what we get up every morning excited to do is work with partners and small business customers that do things like lawn care and sell insurance and practice law and fix people's teeth and those sorts of things. We have an application mall by the standards of American malls. It's not very big. I think the mall near me has about 70 stores in it. We have 8 identified sort of cloud offerings or services. We're here today to talk specifically about verticalization and how choices in best-of-breed cloud services can be brought together by informed and passionate partners like you guys in ways that are different than what else is out there in the marketplace. Is AppRiver the solution for every itch that your clients might have? Absolutely not. I hope what you do see here is a commitment to a family of cloud services that's delivered under a consistent partner and customer experience that is of exceptionally high quality, and that it's all sort of aligned around messaging, collaboration, and security. There are certainly lots of other pieces to this puzzle, and I want to go ahead and acknowledge to you guys, we're not trying to be all of that. We have had a great run being messaging and security experts, and we don't have any plans to change that anytime soon. So if you guys are out there doing things with Dynamics and SharePoint and stuff like that, more power to you. We love to have you in our channel program because that brings the kind of diversity that end customers really need.
You know what, Scott, what I might add here, having been on the road with you on our road show the first part of 2015 and beyond, but I think right here on this screen you guys have exercised control growth, because you know I know your dance card's full. Your phone's ringing with ISVs that would like to be placed there. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
And you know, it looks like you're kind of saying that, you know, we're really not Amazon.com. We're really not trying to have millions of SKUs.
That's a great point. Microsoft is for convenience and for all kinds of other purposes that I think relate to how they're trying to, you know, massively change the direction and the thinking inside that each company. They have recently taken to referring to AppRiver and some other providers as cloud distributors, and I think you make a great point, Harry. We're still that may work for Microsoft, but the distributor ethos is not one that we relate to. We are a service company, and you know, if our catalog was 12 services by the time I retire, that'll be plenty. We know where we fit in. I think controlled growth is a good way to look at it. You know, we tend to follow the direction that our channel gives us. If our best channel partners say in numbers that they need this or that, which again certainly led to our Office 365 practice, then we're likely to go there, although sometimes not quite as fast as they might like. But we follow our partners because we trust them and because they're the people that turn these cloud services that we create and deliver into something that an SMB customer can use, can feel confident about. And you're right, the temptation to get lost along the way is a strong one. We have a very healthy practice here at AppRiver in saying no.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, let's move on.
So So I'm going to introduce one. This is one example of how verticalization leads us to think about one particular area of our practice, which I've already referred to, and that's security. It would be tempting, I think, for us to look at a product like SecureTide or SecureSurf or Cipher Post Pro or our relationship with Akamai. There's a whole bunch of things that I could point to and say, see how committed we are to secure messaging. But what I want to convey in this slide and others in this deck today to you guys is the power behind thinking in terms of layered approaches to solving problems that are different than what else is out there, that are more comprehensive, and that are easier for a small business customer to latch onto as a solution to a problem and not a set of technologies that they're going to have to manage or that they're going to have to pay you to manage. So we have a secure mailbox. We call our hosted exchange solution Secure Hosted Exchange. It's got a bunch of security built into it. One of those layers of security is spam and virus filtering. That's our own intellectual property, a product called SecureTide. And that's always been the way that was. Those two services have always gone together. But over time, we've also recognized that security, in all capital letters, is an open-ended question if you stop at spam and virus filtering where mail is concerned. So we've spent a lot of effort and a lot of treasure to create Cipher Post Pro and our strategic relationship with Akamai so that our global exchange traffic can be encrypted from desktop to desktop and can be transmitted via TLS over optimized networks. That added another layer to the idea of a secure mailbox. And then finally, with SecureSurf, our web protection service, I think we have a complete story to tell. Really, after many years, we have a truly complete story to tell about what we mean when we say secure messaging. Why does web protection matter? Well, it turns out that our SecureSurf product has the ability to detect vulnerabilities and malware on your client's network, whether that arrived on their network through email or through another source. So this is not, I'm not here to talk to you today about this graphic. I'm just holding it up as an example of the evolution of thinking in a service organization when you stop thinking about the SKU or the part number and you start thinking about full circle, what my wife's company calls a full circle solution or a first full circle customer. So keeping that example in mind, I'm going to introduce some sample verticals and start to develop for you a way of thinking about those verticals and talking to them that may lead you to snapping together services like Office 365 and SecureSurf and or Cipher Post Pro, etc., including things that you may sell that have nothing to do with AppRiver or Microsoft, into prescriptive solutions for your SMB customers that they can pay one price for, they can hit the easy button through you, and they are taken care of in that area of concern. So as you think about, or if you think after this presentation about what we've talked about, you might think in terms of first making a short list, if you need to, of the vertical markets that you serve today. Where do you have more than 3 customers of a type? And where do you have connections? Are there verticals available to you that you're not really tapping into today? Next step beyond that is to understand their specific pain points. They differ from one vertical to the next. Fundamentally, the question, what hurts productivity, generally tends to cover almost everything. The secondary question behind that is what regulatory pressures are your customers facing? If they're healthcare providers, then of course we're talking about HIPAA, and if they're in financial services, we could be talking about several other regulatory frameworks. And then find the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Just getting a small business owner to admit that they have some concern or some confusion or some lack of understanding of a security issue. They've heard a couple of buzzwords, maybe they even talked to one of their peers who had a bad experience, but they don't really know what to do next. Find that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and when you create these Lego-style prescriptive bundles, make sure that you can clearly articulate to a non-technical business owner how that that service or bundle addresses their fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You got to talk to them in those terms.
Scott, let me ask you a question about that.
Sure.
So first of all, sort of a landscape question, and then I'll get back to FUD. But so you do SMB, and give me an example of M. Like, would you have one of your partners serve a mid-sized company with, say, 400 users? Is that something you've done?
We have. Our average Office 365 and Secure Hosted Exchange customer today has about 18 users. But our largest Exchange and Office 365 customers have several thousand users.
Okay.
There are mid-market customer types that are well suited for the cloud distributor or market maker type offerings that an AppRiver has through its channel partners, and I can talk to the folks on this call one-on-one, our entire channel team, about how to recognize those types of customers. But I will acknowledge, Harry, that there are at above 300 seats or so, there are other considerations around how those customers buy cloud services, especially Microsoft cloud services. And, you know, again, I think our 4 years of experience in the syndication program situates us very well to give our partners good advice about when it makes sense to pursue those larger opportunities and where some of the risks might be, because we understand them quite well.
Well, so let's roll 300. I'll frame up the question this way: that I've been, as you know, Scott, I consult industry periodically, and that's because Jenny does a great job of turning the key at 8 a.m. at SMB Nation and closing the door at 5. and I, you know, I'm fired up. And you and I have had that talk. I mean, it's great. Sure. And so I've spent a number of months assisting, for lack of a better word, an educational institution, 400 employees, so real employees, not counting students. But even if we went with 300, here's what I found on the FUD, is that marketing is involved in number one, marketing's deeply involved in IT now.
Yes.
And our heroes in marketing, right? So our guys in marketing. And number two, you get into these mid-sized organizations, and quite frankly, I had forgotten, you know, and it had been a while, and some partners on the phone will relate to this, but, you know, it's an exercise in diplomacy. To navigate IT and marketing and management and so on. And what I'm getting at is the FUD, and the FUD surrounding security, or the FUD surrounding this, or the FUD surrounding that. This is a huge part. I'm just being reacquainted with core mid-market, and this is a huge part of the partner's job, man.
It is. And you couldn't have picked a more a clearer example than an educational organization, a university or school, a private school, whatever. Because on top of the FUD that might be associated with their vertical, they are also on the receiving end, sometimes for better, sometimes not, of a fabulously complex set of licensing options, because it seems like every creator of intellectual property out there wants to repackage for education customers in radical ways. It's free, it's almost free, it seems like it's free and maybe it's not free, and so they have an even harder job than most, in my experience. There's an entire set area, as you know, of licensing LSPs, licensing service providers, who specialize in serving education customers exclusively. You also alluded to the fact that their user populations are different than most organizations. They have students and they have people who are engaged in the business of education, and they have very separate requirements. And so that's an especially unique vertical, and I can tell you for that's one of those
it's a great vertical, by the way. It's a great vertical, guys.
It's the more of that complexity there is, the more those customers rely on managed service providers and consultants to chart a course, and there's a tremendous opportunity there. That is one of those areas where the syndication and CSP programs have not kept up, honestly. Microsoft has not allowed
I could see that.
The full rollout of education licensing to those partner programs. Who knows why? I don't really know, but that doesn't change the fact for the folks on this call that that these education customers need they need a guide. They need a trusted advisor that doesn't just pepper them with questions. They need somebody that understands the nature of their business and can look at a set of requirements and come back and say, this is what you need, and have the credibility to back that up. And that doesn't happen overnight. I've talked to partners who've tried to penetrate. I'll be honest with you, we try to penetrate vertical markets and come back to the drawing board sometimes more than once and say, wow, we really didn't have that right. We really didn't understand that nuance of this vertical market well enough. So it's not I don't mean in any of this to suggest when I talk about Legos that this is, some sort of just follow my instructions and everything will be fine. It isn't about that. There's trial and error in there. And
what I would add, Scott, I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole with you on education, but what I would add is that guys, when you do get into a new vertical, my experience has been in the past and even more recently is that you got to get that first client. You essentially, you might work for free at that first vertical client, right? Because boy howdy, you got to get that law firm, you got to get that accounting firm or that medical clinic before you can really rock.
So let's talk about some of those specifics. Here's an example from healthcare. So a medical office with 10 employees, they currently have 2 office licenses and 5 users. So there are some, and this is not uncommon, among healthcare workers, people who spend less than 10% or less than 15% of their time at a desk looking at email and stuff like that. They may not need anything more than company email and some security. But everyone does have to be on email that the administrator or the firm, the leadership of the firm can sort of be accountable for. They need to be able to store things securely and share them securely, and they want to handle records electronically. A lot of these customers are going to either already own or be considering the purchase of some sort of medical practice management software. It's not my intention to suggest that you create a practice management bundle out of various off-the-shelf core cloud services. There's way too many good vertical solutions from companies like CareMD and GE Healthcare and others that are already well established in the medical vertical. But every one of these customers also needs email, and they need file sharing, secure file sharing for internal, whether it's just publishing a new HR policy or the office's vacation schedule or whatever. So they all need these core services that you guys are very familiar with, whether or not you have a medical practice management software play or not. And as Harry mentioned before, increasingly these things are highly dependent on each other. The practice management package has functionality that relies on the MAPI protocol in Exchange, or relies on an Outlook plugin, or relies on some kind of easy to access secure cloud storage like OneDrive, etc. So, in this case, one solution that you could package would be one that provides those core services from the cloud of Exchange, SharePoint and OneDrive, and Skype, which increasingly is becoming the way that that workers, knowledge workers and non-knowledge workers want to communicate. They want IM style communication. That is the people that are coming into the workforce today don't relate to email the same way I do. To them, real-time communications is IM, period. And it needs to be secure and under the control of the organization, especially in healthcare. And then, of course, adding the archiving piece, in my experience, there's a whole discussion around what is archiving. Microsoft, I think, along the way has created a little bit of confusion by suggesting that the tools that they use to manage the size of the mailbox, when they label those tools as archiving, they kind of, I think they create a little bit of confusion. And again, in that confusion lies an opportunity for you to go in and explain to your healthcare customer the difference between e-discovery and compliance archiving and archiving for mailbox size management. So as an example, is this a solution that we're saying you should go out and build or create, and you can't really serve healthcare customers without something like this? No. But as a model, as I suggested, for how to approach a dentist office or my mom sees a rheumatologist group that has about 10 employees. I think they have 2 or 3 doctors and a couple of physician's assistants and some other people. So it's a very real world example. And this is not a customer who's going to be unfamiliar with technology or resistant to having technology. They've got technology all around them. They do very much need to trust that somebody they can talk to face understands what HIPAA is, why they feel pressure around it, and can make smart recommendations about how to improve their HIPAA posture without breaking the bank. How about an example from the legal profession? A real estate attorney who handles closings. Maybe only 1 or 2 attorneys, but could be as many as 25. I've seen 30, 35 employees in firms that primarily handle real estate. It's a high volume aspect of the legal trade. It's very document intensive, as you guys know. In this example, the customer likes Exchange and they're running it on premise today. They're running a small business server that's end of life, or something like that. And maybe they've either been touched by something particularly malicious like a crypto threat, or they know somebody who has. And they're concerned about that because every package of real estate closing material is 5 figures of revenue for the firm, and finding those files to be unavailable at the wrong time is a particularly nightmare scenario for real estate attorneys. They may also be concerned about the fact that during slow times, employee internet usage, and keeping in mind that sometimes in the real estate trade, some segment of, quote, employees are actually going to be contract folks who serve at the pleasure of the firm owner, but are, they're not full employees. They're not receiving a full raft of benefits, and the rules around who can tell what, how they should spend their time are a little bit different than they are for me here at AppRiver. So maybe some concern around, if my employees especially my contract employees, don't have more work than they can handle today, what are they going to do to kill the time? What are they doing on my internet connection, and is that safe for my network and the endpoints that I'm responsible for? Beyond that, is it safe, is it productive? So you get a set of FUD like that, and you go back to your warehouse of cloud solutions, and you recognize that a product like AppRiver Secure Hosted Exchange gets them into the cloud without asking them to change their email platform, maintains a good continuity of service. It's still about Outlook, and in fact, in this case, the Exchange mailbox comes with a fully licensed copy of the currently supported Outlook client for PC or Mac, and that might be a big deal for a firm of this size. And then adding advanced threat and malware protection and endpoint security. And again, endpoint security is a placeholder for a solution that AppRiver doesn't sell. But what I want to encourage you guys to think of is, when you identify the best providers of these services out there, you can put what they offer together in ways that are unique and more valuable to your customers. You may hear it here and there. What you won't hear from an AppRiver is, we want you to sell our stuff and only our stuff. As I said at the top of my talk, we're not trying to be all things to all people. So, everybody needs endpoint security. Do we do it? No. Does McAfee do a pretty good job? They sure do. Do we run ESET here on our home network and feel a lot of confidence because of that choice? We absolutely do. We don't sell ESET. We love those guys, but that's another product and another specialization and another kind of transaction.
Well, and Scott, again, to kind of add some real-world value here, I can think of my own company, SMB Nation. So we have a couple of different, for lack of a better word, investments. We're always innovating, we tried Cloud Nation, we tried this, we tried that. So we always kind of have something going on. And working right now with an individual, in fact, you met him in the Bay Area, and working with an individual with a expert system, a knowledge system. And now that we've gone to market, we had a short but very real conversation that we need to use the smbnation.com email, right? This is now the business of the company, so we can't. Right. Understand the early days. You're on your Gmail, got it.
Right.
No, this is now the business of the company. This is the business of the law firm, right? And Scott, we see that all the time with contractors, right? That the contractors love their Gmail.
Yeah.
But if you work for us, it's smbnation.com on Exchange.
Yeah, and it's a great point. There's a progression there. So in this example, a building contractor with 12 employees, it's very normal for contractors and engineering firms at the start of a project to involve people professionally who are using public email domains or their own personal domains. And then when a project becomes fully funded and gets really underway, a lot of times we see that landscape change a little bit, and everybody needs to be under the same domain, and a little bit more attention is paid, and perhaps a little bit more money is spent bringing everyone together so that collaboration is not troubled, that it's not problematic. If I send you a large file, I don't need to be trying to figure out what Gmail's large file, what their file attachment limit is. I want to know what that is going in. I want to be able to tell all the people on the project team what the rules are, and I want them to work for everyone. So in this example, a contractor is using an exchange service that's hosted locally. It's in their market in New Orleans, let's say, and it's hosted by a great Microsoft partner right there in New Orleans, and they're delivering a really cool local service, and it makes perfect sense. But this contractor needs more than at any other time. They need to stay operational after severe weather. So they've already adopted Exchange as the business of the company, as you said, Harry. That's where that business needs to happen from an email standpoint. But they really probably need to move that workload out of the New Orleans area to ensure that they're operational if there's severe weather. They also need to be able to send engineering drawings and other large documents, project documents, closing packages, things like that. And they need a secure way to do that that doesn't leave them held hostage to this or that recipient's email attachment size limits. They also need some version control. If I send you a package of documents and then an element in that package changes, I need to be able to make sure that the version that you have is the definitive version and not the last one I happen to send out. So I've got a vested interest in making sure that I'm managing the life cycle of all of the documents that I share in real time. And then somewhere in there, there's some customer credit data. They may not be subject to PCI. They may not actually be doing processing transactions, but they may hold financial information of customers and investors for an extended period of time, and they need to do that securely and responsibly. So a solution here that you could design might start with Office 365 as a way to keep them in the Exchange universe, but move that workload to a data center that's not subject to some of the risks of Gulf Coast weather. To add secure email and large file transfer solution to make it possible for sensitive emails and large files to be moved both within the work team and with third parties, the customer themselves, as well as other contractors who may be working on the project. So there's 3 examples of a vertical, a relatively common set of concerns, requirements, preoccupations, stresses, and when you can come in and convince that customer that you've seen that situation before, that you have a scratch for that itch, and that it works 100% of the time, then you can make the kinds of commitments and promises that I think are so important to our business, and that is the ones you can keep. As I said earlier, sometimes it's just as important not to say that you can take care of something you can't. You guys know from your own experience that customers value that. But when you can take a collection of concerns that the customer finds to be related, but they're a little bit frustrated that they get the sense they may have to go to 4 different places to get that set of related concerns taken care of, when you can come in and say, I've already done your homework for you. I know the best of breed solutions for small business delivery of Office 365, for secure email and large file transfer, for e-discovery and compliance archiving, and I've already done all of that work for you, and I can put them together and be the easy button, and if you press that button, you'll get to try that combined real solution for 30 days at no charge, and then at the end of the 30 days, I'll just dare you to go back to the way you were working before. I know you're not going to do it, and you'll say, of course I'm going to start paying for it, and they'll pay you a recurring per user monthly or longer term rate, and they will cross a whole bunch of FUD and concerns off of their list and go back to the business of building new buildings or making patients better or arguing cases in court.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Hey, Scott, let me do a little housekeeping, folks.
Sure.
We're about 3/4 of the way through our allocated time. Be sure to use the chat feature to ask your questions. In fact, Scott, I got so caught up in your symphony that I forgot to do the bottom of the hour update. So,
Sorry.
Folks, use the chat feature to ask your questions. And if you came in a little bit late, just FYI, we have a streaming day from the fall conference next Friday, October 2nd. Learn everything you need to know at fall2015.smbnation.com. I'm going to see App River up there live. It's a 3-day jam session in Redmond, but at this late date, you're welcome to educate and attend, educate yourself on the streaming opportunity. Okay, Scott, back to you.
I'm just going to leave this last slide up there and open it up to questions. I don't know if we've seen any. I'm not sure if my chat view includes all the questions that might be coming in, but I do want to leave the time that's left. I don't have any more slides after this one.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I've got one question. Maybe if you want to start to do a wrap, folks, go ahead and dig deep and ask us the questions that you have, and we'll get to those in just a moment. So, what have we learned? That verticals reward MSPs, do more than sell services, resolve the FUD. Do you have contact information? You have a contact slide?
It is the very last one.
Okay, no problem. So one of the questions I have is, I think I may know the answer to this one, but is Office 2016 Pro part of the Action Pack? Scott, I'm gonna go with a yes, just knowing Microsoft's pattern of making Action Pack available. Does that sound reasonable?
It does, and it's a good question to highlight the fact that Microsoft's vast assortment of partner licensing options is, we're very aware of it. We consume Microsoft partner licensing ourselves, of course, but the Action Pack and other tools, including most of what you guys try to manage through MPN, there are some things that an AppRiver can do to smooth the way occasionally there, but to be clear, we can't pass through entitlements and partner benefits under the MPN program as part of our Office 365 CSP partnership. We can do things like make you the partner of record and make sure that the business that you flow through AppRiver shows up in your MPN portal, and you can use it to gain competencies and certifications and things like that. But I do think the Action Pack, I'd be stunned if Microsoft has taken the Office suite out of.
No. And my only thing, I'm not logged on right now, but my only thing would be is that it may be a couple weeks. I mean, it just came out, so knowing Microsoft, it could take a few weeks, folks, but you'll be there.
Yep.
So the next question, actually it's a really good question. Define FUD. So I think we're being called out on using an acronym without defining it.
Well, I did inject it in there a couple times, but I didn't spell out, I didn't take pains to make sure that I made the connection. It stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's a sort of in this space full of acronyms that we occupy in technology. This is one of those old school sales acronyms that salespeople use to signify opportunity. Really, is what it is. If I can find out what my customer is concerned about, fearful of, preoccupied with, irritated by, worried, insert your favorite unpleasant feeling in the blank, then that's what FUD is.
Perfect. And folks, last call, let me scroll down, see. Last call for questions, folks. Don't let us off easy today. So we'll give it a 1 count and a 2 count. Scott, we're we're gonna see App River next week up here at
Yep.
the 3-day jam session in Redmond. That's going great. The host hotel's sold out, so we're making arrangements at nearby hotels. We have the online opportunity. Will you be at some other shows this fall? Other shows you might like to name where people might can have a chat with you?
Well, I will be back in the Northwest twice more for the Microsoft Partner Advisory Council, which is a closed session, but one I always look forward to, and usually get to spend some time with other partners while I'm up there
Yep.
for that. No, for me, Harry, right now, I'm mostly preoccupied with Microsoft roadmap stuff. So I think for the people
Okay.
on this call, what I'd like to add, maybe if I could, is that between now and the end of November, a lot of the CSP version 1.1 stuff that's been coming. I'm talking about Dynamics, CRM, Azure,
Yep. Yep.
Enterprise Mobility Service. Those business plans have now been fully developed, and providers like AppRiver will be coming to market with those things. Microsoft is doing some other stuff, as they always are, to
Always.
keep the flywheel turning. So I do look forward to the product of some of the meetings that I'll be in between now and the end of the year, being some cool announcements for partners about new things that they can do through AppRiver with Microsoft's cloud. If you've got third-party solutions that you like to sell your customers and you'd like to be able to offer them a hosted version, stay tuned, because the news around Azure is going to be very interesting to you.
There we go. All right, well, we'll make that the final word. So folks, once again, thank you for attending the verticalization of cloud. We had 3 examples from our friends at AppRiver. Next week we're off because of the fall conference. Direct message me if you need any more details on that. Scott, thank you, sir. And we'll
My
see
pleasure.
you very,
Thank you, Harry.
yep, we'll see you very, very soon. And folks, have a great day. Goodbye.